Thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh Subramaniam, Director General of the Southeast Asia Department at the ADB, the Asian Development Bank. Now we are going to move right along to the very last session for today, and that is the panel discussion. And we need a little bit of time to set the stage. Now, I saw many of you taking out your telephones to capture the PowerPoint presentations which were up on display as part of the presentations of the speakers. I have good news. You can actually get a copy of the presentations at the website, and that is the link here, worldwideweb.acmex2018.org. So that would probably give you a clearer picture of the PowerPoint presentation. So once again, you can have a look at that on the website later today, worldwideweb.acmex2018.org. Now, to the final panel discussion, do remain seated, do stay with us, because we do want this final session to be as interactive as possible. And if you do have any questions, we will be giving you the opportunity to ask those questions, or perhaps make further comments regarding the panelists' discussions. So I would like to take the time now to introduce very briefly who will be coming up on stage. And then when the stage is set, we can have all of you come up on stage at the same time. The topic of the panel discussion is Smart and Sustainable ACMEX and its business opportunity. And the panelists include Ok Yaheng Wuti, member of the Cambodia Chamber of Commerce. We have also Dr. Dao Wong Pon Gao, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Energy and Mine of the Lao People's Democratic Republic. Mr. Mo Jaw, member of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the Central Executive Committee. We also have Mr. Nguyen Ang Vu, Business Development Director at Green Desert. Mr. Kazuhisa Yumikura, the Managing Executive Officer, Global Head of Infrastructure and Environment Finance Group at the Japan Bank for International Cooperation. And those are our speakers, the panelists. Once again, if you can all remain seated, especially those seated in the center of the room, because we are having a live feed as we listen in here, and you can actually follow up on that and watch a rerun of that at NBT 2HD. Watch it again to get all the points, perhaps, if you missed out on any. And I believe we're almost ready here on stage. And I've already introduced all the panelists who will be taking part in this final panel discussion. And I believe the speakers are ready. We would like to invite the speakers up on stage. Once again, inviting the speakers up on stage, discussing energy, smart agriculture, land property development, startups, assessment of business opportunities out there. All the speakers up on stage, please. And at this point, I would like to hand things over to the very capable Mr. Arya Panomyong, who will be acting as the interlocutor. He is none other than the Managing Director of Line Thailand. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a big warm welcome.
So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, so I understand that the six of us are in between you and lunch, so we're going to try to make up for time as much as possible. So I'm Arya, I'm from Line. We're a chat platform with 200 million users globally. I'm usually on stage talking about technology, so today is a little bit out of my comfort zone. So I have four eminent panelists from the ACMEX region, and also one panelist from Japan. I will skip the introductions because the MC already did that. I hope you won't mind. And the way we will moderate, I will moderate this session is each of the panelists actually prepared a short presentation. So each of them will come up to the podium to present and share their expertise. And then we will have a Q&A session where I've prepared some questions, or we can take live questions. I will keep it to one question per panelist in the interest of time. So may I invite the first panelist to come up to the podium, Okna Hengvuti, the member of Cambodia Chamber of Commerce, to talk about smart agriculture. Or do you want to stay here? Up to you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Round of applause for Okna Hengvuti.
Good morning, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Because today we have short time, Cambodia delegation is honored to participate on ACMEC CEO Forum. First of all, on behalf of Cambodia Chambers of Commerce and myself, I would like to express my sincere to ACMEC CEO Forum for inviting me for join this very important forum. I would like to express my profound appreciation to the Thailand, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for warmest welcome ACMEC Business Forum for share information and good experience between speaker and participation to show on their activity and goal. Today I am honored to attend the forum with investor and business partner from ACMEC country for sharing experience and key changes between foreign business partner. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce you briefly about the case study Cambodia of smart agriculture. We divide by 3 geography case study of smart agriculture, the future prospect of the smart agriculture. Cambodia located in the center of ASEAN, where land size is 138 kilo, 181,035 kilometers square. Where border is Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos. Where population is 16 million. Where manpower of the young people is 75% of the under 35 years old. Cambodia is just been right the best rice in the world 3 years ago. And Cambodia will become the world's 8th largest rice producer. And GDP we have 7% from 2011 until now. And Cambodia organized by the Asian Development Bank, we are the new tiger economy in Asia. What is smart agriculture? Agriculture monitoring system, soil system measurement, soil nitrogen measurement, irrigation system control. And the ministry, relatives of the ministry in Cambodia build a lot of road and bridge, water system, and hydropower transmission line to connect to the farmer. And the farmer can grow the rice 2 or 3 times per year. The rice in Cambodia now increase, and Cambodia farmer now they use systematic design for the landscape, water system. Also use modern of the machine, tractor, and also they use fertilizer and chemical to be the real time of the agriculture. Important of the smart agriculture is increase product activity to engage achievement of national food security and development. The mission of the smart agriculture, we have to organize a better water canal, install automatic remote control, use network smart machine. Related financing of strategy is Ministry of Agriculture, Asian Development Bank, Food and Agriculture Organization. future prospect of the smart agriculture is learning. Now Ministry of Agriculture send a lot of the officer to learning, join for workshop, seminar, and bring new technology and cultivating animal husbandry to using the smart agriculture. National Plan of Cambodia 2015-2025. We have the promote agriculture industry to process agriculture raw material. Now, because of the Cambodia have a lot young people work in South Korea and Japan and other countries, they bring technology. Also, they make their own business for increase the income, reduce migration of the local people. Also, the reduce of the import product and increase the product. By the national plan, we increase the share of the industry sector to GDP 30%, to 30% by 2025, boosting of the export of agriculture product to 12%, total export to 2025, to get by the 80% of small enterprise and 90% of medium enterprise are registered. For the marketing, promote Cambodia government related and Cambodia Chambers of Commerce to join seminar or join workshop forum to help the farmer to cooperate with China, USA, EU, Japan, Canada, India to export the product to overseas. We hope that the knowledge about the smart agriculture will spread out wider to all Cambodia farmers in the near future. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that the participants in the Cambodia delegation to attend the forum on the occasion will be offer many benefits, especially getting the good experience and listen from the ACMEC side to mean the development of the country. On behalf of Cambodia Chambers of Commerce, I formally commit to closely to cooperate with honor guests from ACMEC to promote smart agriculture cooperation of public-private sector. I wish you all have the proudful discussion on this forum and explore business partner with your area of interest. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Okna Hengmuthi. So my next panelist I would like to invite to the podium is Dr. Dawong Ponkao, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Energy and Mine of the Lao PDR. We will be talking about energy. Please welcome Dr. Dawong.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very pleased and very honored to be here and to able to share with all of you from the private sector about the opportunity and challenges in realizing the power grid interconnection within the AMEX. In this picture, maybe a little bit promotion. This is the construction site of the Senyaburi project 3 years ago on the Mekong River. Before going into details, I would like to inform you about the vision of the Lao power sector until 2030. The policy is to develop on the renewable energy, which is available based on the competitiveness, sustainability, and efficiency. And I think the most important is that our vision is to promote the power interconnection within the sub-region. And in order to do that, we have to strengthen our national power grid. And of course, to support the industrialization and the modernization policy of the government, we have to ensure that we have to supply reliable electricity to all sectors. This vision shows that the government is very much promoting the power interconnection with the subnation, which is in line, I think, with the roadmap presented or will be discussed during the summit tomorrow. The opportunity that I see right now today is still valid, that we have to reduce the fossil costs by sharing resources. Also, we have to think more about the climate change. And also, as we have seen or listened to many presentations, that we have to expand the market, and it's a very big market, and therefore infrastructure is needed also to supply the power to all consumers. And of course, another opportunity is to improve the security by diversifying the generation sources. And other is about the efficiency, and we can share the transmission line, and therefore reducing the or managing the congestion of the power transfer. On the other hand, we can allow seasonal flow of the hydropower, especially during the wet season, to be used fully, and then we can exchange the power during, let's say, during the dry year in some year due to the climate change. And interconnected power grid would also improve the stability of the system in helping each other to balance the power generation and the load management. And also very important is when we do the common planning, the result would be more cost effective and more efficient for a larger system. Now, we see the opportunity, but however, we have to think about the challenges. I think the challenges are enormous. First, it's about the system stability. In order to achieve that, we have to coordinate closely, since we have not yet the common grid code, and also we have to sit together how we can identify the congestion and also how we can manage it. And the another challenge is about the third-party access. That means that there will be a series of regulatory, technical, and commercial measures, rules have to be formulated and agreed upon together. And then it comes to the wheeling charge methodology. There is in the world so many methodology about the wheeling charge. However, we have to apply those to our area, to the members of the AMEX, including losses, maintenance, and some others. And then again, we have to develop a set of bilateral, multilateral trading rules. For the metering, for settlement arrangement, balancing mechanism, currency and offer of bids, and some others. On the policy side, we have to confront or to amend some laws, regulation, the existing one. And this requires the commitment from the country's leader to instruct the relevant ministry or relevant agency to sit together and do a study together. And I think it's very important is to have the kind of regional agency to regulate this sector together or to manage together. We can, so far it was some attempt under the GMS, but it's a little bit slow. On the human resource, of course, we have to another challenge since our country is we have different languages. Except Lao and Thai, we can communicate easily, but with other members, it's not so easy. Then the language to communicate, then we use English as the mean, so it's not so easy. The other one is about the compatibility of all the technologies that we are now using. Each country, they have different voltage level, different specification of the equipment, so this is another challenges that we have to overcome. And also some others that have been listed for the financing, the funding facilities, so the risk assessment by the lenders for each country are different. And I think the most important that we are still is still missing, or we can start right now to do together, is to have some information center or create a kind of data system that can be used together and make it public and that can be used by the private sector. Lastly, my last slide is about the pilot project that we have been realized. Is the Lao, Thai, Malaysia, Singapore project. So far has been, Lao has can send the power to Malaysia, and maximum is 100 megawatt. And this is we are using the existing facilities. So through Thailand, and this is a multilateral agreement has been signed, and so far some power transaction has been carried out, and we are still testing to see what can be improved, not only in the technical part but also in the regulation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dawong Portkao. Allow me to invite my next panelist, Yu Mo Jaw, from the member of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Central Executive Committee, to talk about land and property development.
Okay, I'm going to do this in less than 5 minutes, so I'm going to go really quick. First slide. Land and property, all about area. How big is Singapore? Singapore is 720 kilometers. Yeah? Bangkok and Ho Chi Minh is 3 or 4 times the size of Singapore. All right? Vietnam and Yangon, nearly the same over here. You've got the presentation. I'll let you look at it. And let me just go to the major crux of what I'm saying. $83.4 billion of Asian money is invested in commercial real estate outside of Asia every year. Asian money for real estates and property is not spent here, it's outside of Asia. That's commercial property. What about the homes? Yeah? Did you know, this is actually wrong data, $800 billion of Asia money goes out to be invested outside of Asia. That is the combined GDP of all the ACMEC countries, if not some change left over. Yeah? This is what's happening over here, right? Money for property and development is not spent here by us, it's spent overseas. So, very clear, what's the problem? The topic is supposed to be smart cities. This is probably the biggest thing that you can do to be smart. Yeah? Why is ownership to foreigners so sensitive? Only lease. We only talk about lease, 50 years, 10, you go away. Only lease, lease, lease. You know, it's all about there's no property. If you allow foreigners to own property, it's very easy. Look at all the developed countries. All the developed countries, yeah? You can go and buy property. My wife was very angry with me because I brought a property in the States, right? In the States. And she says, how about the visa? Yeah? You can buy a house for about $1 million in America or the EU, but you're not guaranteed a visa to go there because we are not rich people, all right? Now think about it. If the money comes in, think about the injection of hard currency, the distribution of wealth, regular income from taxes and rates, value increase, distribution of wealth. Very interesting. Yeah, Myanmar took off 4 years ago because of our property. Old mama, you know, family had a house that got inherited. Somebody gave them $1 million. There's 3 people. Yeah, or $3 million. There's 3 people. Each of the family gets $1 million. They buy property for $500,000, and it just cascades. It's distribution of wealth. Yeah. So this is the major point I've got to say over here. Why is ownership to foreigners so sensitive? Very simple. Here's the solution. Consider allowing ownership to high-end value property, say $500,000, right? The question I ask is, why is it sensitive? Most of you would say, oh, that means that poor people won't be able to buy property. So give property in our ACMES countries to overseas people, but start with a figure of $500,000. You will make, just from rates and income tax, about 5 to 10% every year. And let's face it, yeah? It's property, it's landed. Foreigners cannot put it in their pocket or put it in their suitcase, can go away. So with that, that's it, and I've done it in 4 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mojo. Love the energy. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Nguyen Han Vu, the Business Development Director of Green Desert, so a startup focused on waste management. I think that's very interesting.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, it's an honor for me to be here to share the startup of Green Desert. I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for arranging for me to be here so I can share this story. First of all, I want to say a little bit about the Vietnamese waste problem. Vietnamese waste is only getting worse, and Vietnam must act now before the environment and health issues hinder its own social and economic development. Fortunately, Vietnam's national government recognized the issue and continue to implement and support policies. Vietnam has set up rural development funds and environment funds that provide support mechanism to the local government. There are other methods that are being applied to manage the waste in Vietnam. 90% of the waste in Vietnam is landfill, the majority of which is dumped into an unsanitary landfill. However, as you already know, there are many problems associated with this method. The waste rots and decomposes, produce harmful gas such as CO2 and methane, which are both greenhouse gas and contribute to global warming. Landfills also pollute the local environment, which include the water and the soil and cause many other health-related issues. Then Vietnam started to import incineration technologies from other countries. However, incineration requires sorting waste, which is almost impossible to do in Vietnam and many other developing countries. The toxic emission has to be cleaned before released to the environment, which many plants have done poorly due to the high cost of operations. The third thing is the net energy produced to the grid is very low, and after internal combustion to operate the facility. Incineration is like a coal power plant, but instead of burning coal, we burn the waste that contain plastic, nylon, and create toxic emissions such as dioxin and furans. The world is trying to reduce coal power usage, and we encourage the Vietnamese government to follow that trend. Many incineration plants require Vietnamese government to sort the waste at the source. If unsorted waste is delivered, they will landfill the waste and still charge the government a higher tipping fee. Many projects with foreign technology have come to Vietnam, but they have left unsuccessfully. These projects usually require deposit from the Vietnamese government. They end up falling short of their commitments, and therefore waste is still a huge problem for the society. Mr. Long, the technology inventor, realized the problem early and wanted to change it with a solution that fit Vietnamese waste. After more than 20 years of trial and error, by mid-2016, he perfected the technology that is now ready to commercialize. Our breakthrough to gasification and to energy technology efficiency convert practically all solid waste into cheap and clean energy. Our waste-to-energy infrastructure as a service time to market is significantly less complicated than conventional approach. I was supposed to go deep into this, but we're short of time, so I'm going to try to make quick. Our closed-loop solution is internationally scalable to both commercially and technologically, and is poised to disrupt the global waste industry. We are the lowest cost of any projects that has analyzed in a region and globally by our peers. We are conservatively less than 1/3 to 1 less the medium cost of any waste-to-energy projects on investment per daily ton or by installed megawatts. Our cost comparisons take a holistic view where we take into account the environmental and social costs associated with incineration technology, which we believe are significantly more environmentally hazardous in comparison to gasification. We are aligned with the Vietnamese Prime Minister's goals on supporting startups and innovation, as well as sustainable economic development, and as well as other UN Sustainable Development Goals. We have strong relationship with high-level stakeholders across all the key ministerials, as well as the support from the Vietnam Local People's Committee. We are confident that Green Desert will set the newest standards to ensure sustainability and Vietnam's waste-to-energy policy going forward. We employ a development methodology that ensure process transparency and legal pre-agreements to move straight into implementation. Our modular technology and cost competitiveness allows us to avoid the complicated BOT project investment development model. We need a service company. We employ a service company model to deliver a local governments what they want and need conditional on what they need to make it happen. This is a few pictures of our 1.5 hectare of Hanam facility that have a capacity of 360 tons per day test plant, and the factory has been producing waste processing machinery since 2001. We conducted a successful test in cooperation with the Hanam People's Committee, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Natural Resource and Environment, and Ministry of Planning and Investment in 2016. The test result over the 10 days was 200 tons processed syngas produced enough power for the whole industrial park in 12 hours per day. The Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee witnessed a successful electricity generation at the industrial waste landfill on the Binh Tân district in Ho Chi Minh City. The Party Secretary, Mr. Tan, publicly expressed support, and Mr. Long has also presented that to 100 citizens around. We have the local access and knowledge requirement as per our strong provincial government relationship. In order to fulfill our international ambitions, world-class standards are required to enhance bankability of the projects. We're actually working with DNVGL to certify the technology. Mr. Long is the embodiment of the vision, dedication, and innovation of waste-to-energy over the last 20 years, and having achieved over 14 patents locally and 2 patents internationally. The management team is set up in 2016 to commercialize the technology under the direction of Mr. Long, the technology inventor. We have the background of technical, commercial, legal capacity to develop and implement these projects. The company leans on its various partners to support the companies in special areas such as technical consulting and financial advisory. We focus on, we have sent officials to the People's Committee of all 60 provinces of Vietnam and to establish foothold dialogue. We have received mostly positive feedbacks from those provinces, and our multi-billion-dollar market pipeline is already attractive enough to keep us busy for many years. Our municipal solid waste treatment revenue stream is the fixed tipping fee per ton with minimum tonnage, take and pay contract with the People's Committee. Our PPA with the Electric City of Vietnam is based on the fit-in tariff of 10 cents per kilowatt hours, which is higher than solar or hydropower. Incremental higher margin revenue stream on industrial solid waste or hospital toxic waste treatment service contract, which has 2 to 4 times tipping fee per ton. In conclusion, the technology will contribute to climate change. I actually was invited to speak at the conference by the UN Habitat right before this conference, and I was able to and discuss how Green Desert technology was able to reduce the emission, keep the carbon in the soil away from producing green energy. Once again, I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen Anh Vu. Our next panelist to invite on the podium is Yumiko Rasan, Managing Executive Officer, Global Head of Infrastructure and Environment Finance Group of the Japan Bank for International Cooperation, talking about assessment of business opportunity.
Thank you very much. It is my great honor to have this opportunity for making a presentation in this wonderful occasion. So let me start my presentation from corporate profile of JBIC. This is the JBIC at a glance. Detailed explanation will be omitted, but please understand that the JBIC is 100% owned by the Japanese government and one of the policy-based financial institutions in Japan. So then JBIC Act, this is establishing law, is regulating JBIC's mission. And you can see, so these parts describe JBIC's mission. So you can see some keywords like international competitiveness of Japanese industries, or preserving the global environment, or development and procurement of natural resources. These keywords are closely connected to the JBIC's activities. And this slide shows the accumulated number and amount of JBIC's financial commitments by region. You can see that in Asia is #1 area for the in number-wise and amount-wise. As for the Asia is the largest destined region for JBIC finance. And this proves that the Asia is the closest and the most important area for Japanese industries. Referring to the relation with Asia, including ACMEX region, and the Japanese government's policy initiative for partnership for quality infrastructure, JBIC, together with other policy implementing agencies in Japan, has been pouring full energy towards quality infrastructure building in Asian region. And further, free and open Indo-Pacific strategy, ACMEX is recognized to be strategically important area as a regional hub. So JBIC is also supporting some related projects like Nam Niap 1 hydropower project in Laos and the Dawei Special Economic Zone in Myanmar. This slide shows the concept of division of labors amongst the typical actors in infrastructure development project on a PPP basis. And in left-hand side, you can see the roles of both private companies and the host countries. The host country government's strong commitment on long-term comprehensive support is a key for successful implementation of projects. The PPP does not stand for private-private partnership. Sometimes PPP is misunderstood like that, but the host country's government's role is quite important. This page says that the JBIC is willing to work as an intermediary between the public side and private side to complete the best structure of risk and responsibility allocation in the context of public-private partnership. I will not touch in detail, but this slide shows that JBIC is not as a single body touch upon the actual transactions. Collaborating with international institutions like ADB, we are initiating, promoting our initiatives. And this slide shows JBIC's major track records in the ACMEX region. As for infrastructure projects, so far, the power sector projects, including independent power producers projects, are all. But from now on, in order to contribute to regional connectivity and further integration of ACMEX, we would like to widen our activities in the sectors to be supported. And I would like to draw your attention to our support to Japanese SMEs. Although I plotted just one or two cases in Thailand and Vietnam, but we have so many cases which we supported Japanese SMEs' direct investments, especially concentrated in automotive industries and electronics industries. And in Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar, you can also find track records which we supported Japanese SMEs in construction sector or light industry like textile, cosmetics. And although it is not written in this chart, but we are supporting food processing industries and toys industries and service and logistic industries in these countries. So we expect such kind of the investments by Japanese SMEs will contribute to further integration of key basic industries in those countries. This is the chart explaining our involvement in Doway project in detail, but in this session we will not touch upon in detail. And also, this is the explanation of the future possibility, our involvement in the EEC project in Thailand. So the excellencies touch upon in EEC repeatedly, so I don't dare to touch upon in detail in this slide, but Japanese industries have keen eyes on this business opportunities. So in case Japanese companies are involved in the project, we are willing to support the project strongly for its successful implementation. This is the last slide. So this page shows that listening to enhancement of JBIC functions. 2 years ago, we had a partial amendment of establishing law, the JBIC Act, for establishing the special operations. This operation enables JBIC to take further risks and provide funding to the overseas infrastructure and other foundation for socio-economic activities, and for expansion of JBIC's operations in local currency. The infrastructure project is earning local currency revenues. But so in order to avoid any foreign exchange risk for project owners, then borrowing in local currency is very important. So we, in order for us to be able to provide local currency funding to the project, that we amended our JBIC Act. And for diversification of JBIC's assistant tools, so acquisition of project bonds or in the Islamic finance format, we are now be able to provide our financing to infrastructure projects. And quite new information about our new facilities. Yeah, very recently, Japanese government announced outline of the new facility for which JBIC is responsible. Then this facility will start next month. So then now we are in a very, very final stage for detailed design. So then at this stage, I cannot touch upon in detail, but the outline is taking a full account of current global trends on ESG investment. So then a new facility for quality infrastructure for environmental and sustainable growth. And this facility provides support for a variety of infrastructure projects that contribute to global environment preservation, including renewable energy projects. So this is my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Yunkura-san. So I think we have to recognize that the panelists have had a little bit less time than expected. So thank you very much for making them on time. Now what I'm going to do is, unless there's a question from the audience, I have prepared a question for each of the panelists. Any questions? No. So allow me to ask the first question to Okna Hengbuti. So we've seen from the previous presentations and the slides that there's a very strong influx of investment from China. We've been talking about the One Belt, One Road initiative. Can you tell us more about that and what's happening in Cambodia?
Thank you for your question. One Belt, One Road. I think the China policy, the main is the head of the trend, bring economic from China to ASEAN, especially for Cambodia, because Cambodia is the middle of ASEAN, and we have the young people, 75% under 35 years old. This morning, Samdech Kem Hapadede Chu Hun Sen mentioned about the seaport. The water depth is 14 meters, and also Cambodia government have signed the contract with China for the connect railway from Kunming, connect to Vietnam to Cambodia, Kunming, Myanmar to Cambodia, Kunming, Laos to Cambodia. Also, we have the planning for 2025 from the government to increase industry from the raw material from the agriculture. This meaning help a lot to the smart agriculture to help a lot from the farmer to export. Now Cambodia, we import a lot of the food from overseas, but future we can increase via product to using in Cambodia. Also we are promote via product to export to overseas. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Okna Hengbuti. Actually, for the remaining panelists, you're all mic'd up, so you can actually speak. There's no issue with that. So next question goes to Dr. Dawong Ponkeo. So there's been a lot of discussion about energy. You've raised concern about climate change. In your opinion, what do you see as a sustainable and socially acceptable alternative to fossil energy?
Yes, in my opinion, I think that you cannot say that one alternative is better than the other one. I think that it's very much depending on the conditions. Take for example hydropower. You have to have a suitable area, suitable landscape, and enough seasonal rain, something like that, to able to develop develop hydropower in a sustainable way. If you think about wind, then you cannot put everywhere the wind turbine. You have to find a very good location. When you find a good location, maybe it's wind in that area, wind power generation would be maybe very much competitive to fossil fuel. You can take also other type of renewable energy like waste or biomass. If you have plenty of biomass or plenty of waste, then you can manage and then compensate by the environmental cost. For me, only renewable energy is a good alternative to fossil fuel because it would not generate carbon dioxide in contrast to the fossil fuel from gas or oil. Then it will help reduce the carbon dioxide, the green gas emission. So this is the way. I think that's only renewable energy alternative has the potential against the fossil fuel. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Dawong. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to discuss maybe with Green Desert. So my next question goes to Mr. Mojal. So you've been discussing about housing, land, property development, and maybe relaxing foreign ownership. And I think we have similar contexts in other countries around ACMEX as well. What do you see? How do we fuel property development in the housing sector then? If we were able to relax those constraints?
I think the major impetus is how do we get to start it? We're Asians, we're very proud of who we are. We're very proud of the land that we own, that our parents gave us. Let's not forget land ownership issues for the rural populations. Yeah, I mean, I think that there should be a lot of the IT is there. Yeah, you can look on Google Map, you can see it. It's so easy to demassify areas of rural areas so that land ownership goes to the very poor. But what I think is the most important point that I wanted to stress out was land development property and ownership for foreigners is distribution of wealth. It really is distribution of wealth. I mean, one of the hardest things for us to develop in ACMEX, let's not forget the fact where I go to so many of these business CEO forums, whether it's ASEAN, and we sit there, and it saddens me that for the ASEAN Secretariat is not here. He's been to many of my, I've been to many of these forums with him. Did you know that 1 in 7 people in ASEAN, 1 in 7 people in ASEAN earns less than $3 a day? Yeah. In ACMEX countries, it's even worse. It's probably 1 in 5. Yeah. So what you have to just understand is, it's look at it and make Hong Kong the most expensive place in the world for property. But anybody here can go and buy. Yeah. So we need to move on to the next step. In America, yeah, the commission rate for real estate is 6%. 6%, where the norm is 2% in the world. So what I think is, let's focus on this distribution of wealth. I have a problem, we have a problem, our civil service, yeah, in the developing AMEC countries, it's very hard to incentivize them. They're on bare minimum wages, but they will live, they will work hard for housing. Yeah? We have so much land. Yeah? What you can do is you can start by having a strategy where you set out land that's not being developed, do beautiful government housings over here, give it to the staff. If you allow property to be sold high-end, $500,000, it will slowly go over there. They will have something to work for. So if you're not into just giving any home, start with zoning. There's no problem over there. But I really do think the biggest way for us to develop, we need to look at this. And we've got to be stop to be proud of ourselves and coming out with silly things that, the foreigners will take it off. Just give them a gate entry and we can do it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mojo. So my next question goes to Mr. Ren Hanvu. so you've been talking about waste management, and so my question to you is, do you have plan on expanding Green Dessert to other countries, and are you looking for partners?
Can you hear? Okay, good. We want to establish our presence in Vietnam first, but eventually we want to expand our business to our other foreign country as well. First, we're looking for international partner who can certify our technologies. We are working with DNV as one of the big energy company. We're looking for other company in other area as well, so that if once we have a certificate from this company, then we are ready to go abroad. Also, we are looking for local investors, such as maybe in Thailand. If there's another investor who are interested, we can share our knowledge, connect with technology, and see if the technology can work well in Thailand as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen. I think your waste management solution would probably be a good opportunity to do that in Bangkok. Not trying to send a signal here. Last question to Yumikura-san. So I understand that JBIC has a mission to support Japanese companies and industries across the world outside of Japan. What kind of opportunities do you see for Japanese companies within ACMEX?
Yeah, I think that's we can expect many cases, many opportunities. For example, in the field of smart agriculture, today's topic, the Japanese companies, there are some Japanese companies who have know-how, experience, and technology accumulation for example, vegetable factory or optimization of greenhouse conditions by using IT technology, and also some database and information sharing system building. And they are seeking business opportunities overseas, including ACMEX area. So, and also in the area of urban development, the Japanese company has also a lot of experiences in transit-oriented development, which need coordination between public transportation program and real estate developments. So they can also contribute to the smart and safety urban development in the region.
Thank you very much, Yumikura-san. So this ends our session. I just wanted to share probably maybe a few key takeaways. It seems that from the whole session and actually the entire theme of this morning, some keywords that seems to be emerging is collaboration and alignment definitely within ACMEX. So we will not hold you any longer. I would like everyone to give a big round of applause to our 5 panelists, also for your support in making up for time. Thank you very much.
Plenty of interesting subtopics brought forth to the table there under the main topic of smart and sustainable ACMEX and its business opportunities. Once again, another big round of applause for the panelists, for the speakers, and special kind thanks, special applause going out to the Managing Director of Line Thailand, Kun Ariyat Panomyong as well. And this is going to mark the end of our ACMEX CEO Forum. Thank you all so very much for staying until the very end. Now, I'm sure you're all looking forward to lunch. The CEO luncheon will be served at Volti Restaurant. Those of you with invitations, make your way to the entrance of the restaurant located on this floor. So out the door towards the right on this floor. And that is for those of you who have invitations. And for the rest of you, make your way down to access Volti Restaurant via the garden and the swimming pool area. Be sure that you have your ACMEX CEO Forum badges with you, otherwise they will not let you in, and we don't want that to happen. And don't forget, leave the headsets right here on your seats. PowerPoint presentation slides can be looked at worldwideweb.acmex2018.org. That's where you want to go for all the PowerPoint presentations. And watch the rerun of ACMEX CEO Forum Bangkok 2018 on Facebook. Where do you have to go? You go to NBT2HD. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think I have everything. And enjoy your lunch then. And that's a wrap for CEO Forum. I'm Pachari Raksawong. It has been such an honor, such a pleasure. Enjoy your lunch. สวัสดีค่ะ